What's going on, YouTube? And are you not entertained, fellas? Today we're coming with the NFC West season predictions. Now, these games are already predicted for the NFC North because I already predicted the NFC North. That video is up on my channel. It didn't do so hot, so hopefully this one does better. Prediction videos, a lot of people want to see it, but then again, like, can you guys just stick around and watch the whole thing? Predicting every single team in arguably the NFL's most difficult division, which it probably is going to be. So first we have the Niners. Like and subscribe. Road to 300. We're so close. But anyways, I have the Niners beating the Lions. Why the Lions? The Lions, I think their offensive line could hold up for against the 49ers front seven, so it's kind of a strength versus strength deal there. But I just don't like the Lions head coach, quarterback combination. I don't like that at all. Jared Goff, Dan Campbell. I don't think it's going to work week one, and I think the Niners offense will just be scoring all day on the Lions defense. And Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance, whoever's starting that one, it may just be Jimmy G, but uh, I think the Niners are going to win quite easily, quite comfortably. The Lions, I don't think, have enough firepower at the skill positions outside of T.J. Hawkinson and Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift. Might take Amon-Ra St. Brown and uh, that offense, that passing game with the wide receivers and quarterback to get going in the defense. Lions are a rebuilding team. I think they're going to struggle quite a bit. That's why they traded for draft capital and they're rebuilding. So I think the Niners are going to win this game easily. So now you go on to the Eagles, week 2. This one's a tough one. Uh, Jalen Hurts right out of the bat. If that offensive line is healthy, now as Devontae Smith, he has a nice set of weapons. They could score on the 49ers. They did beat them last year, but the Niners were so banged up. Jimmy G or Trey Lance, it might be Jimmy G still, unless he gets injured. But the defense, I think that pass rush could get home, but if the Eagles' offensive line is healthy, it's still a good offensive line. If it's healthy, but they're aging and they're not as good as they once were, they still have a solid front seven, but that secondary is still weak and they don't have good linebackers. So I'm going to have to give the edge to the 49ers. It's just two teams that struggle to be healthy, but I think the Niners are better there. And then versus the Packers, I had the Niners beating them. I mean, the Packers could beat them now that the Packers are better up front. Well, we actually don't know that for certain, but they did get some guys that can develop into really good offensive linemen, center guard, guard tackle hybrid. They can move guys all around there. They still have talent there. But the Niners are really sold on building up front. They drafted like Eric Banks. They got Sermon. They had Mostert. Kittle is a mismatch big time for us. And then if it's Jimmy G or Trey Lance, I don't know. But that defense, I think it's at San Francisco too. And when the Packers travel there, they struggle. It could be either way. I'm assuming Rodgers is a starter, but I feel like the Niners could pick that victory up. Seahawks, 49ers, they always play each other really, really close. It's just who do I think is going to win? Is Trey Lance going to take over at this spot, or is it still going to be Jimmy Garoppolo? This one's going to be tough to figure out. I don't know that pass rush versus the offensive line is a mismatch, but Russell Wilson in the past has been able to get past that. I think the receivers could get free for Seattle, and I feel like that defense is well matched. I'll have them splitting. I think the Seahawks grab this one, but the Niners get this one down the road. So I'm going to have the Seahawks and 49ers splitting here. I think that's fair. And then we go to the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals. I think they get him here. I think the Cardinals get him here. They improve the offensive line and Kyler Murray. The 49ers struggle versus mobile quarterbacks. Have we seen DeAndre Hopkins, Rondale Moore, assuming he's healthy, they're all going to pose a lot of problems for that 49ers secondary. So I think the Cardinals could score. And then um, on the flip side, the Cardinals defense, I think that they do have a really underrated defense with J.J. Watt, Chandler Jones, Buda Baker, Malcolm Butler, Zaven Collins, Isaiah Simmons. They just have a lot of talent on defense. So I think that gets the Cardinals the win at home. Uh, they just I think the Cardinals could very well win that. Then the bye week, and then they're coming off the bye, well rested versus an improved Indianapolis Colts team somewhat. I mean, I wouldn't really say improved. The Colts got better with edge rush. They're still a solid team. They have a really good front, which can combat what the Niners like to do. Um, which is run the football, get the play action going. It's like, is Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance starting? The Colts still have a really good offensive line, so the Colts are still really good up front. They don't have a ton of firepower on the outside. They're kind of a run the ball, tough mentality team. So it's going to be like, who's tougher up front? Like, who's going to win the battle up front? This is what this kind of game is. The Niners are well rested, and if Trey Lance starts at this point after the bye week, then it could be just a deciding factor. But it's like uh, it's Carson Wentz back with his old team. I just don't know who to pick. If I were to pick someone right now, I think I think the Colts actually get this win. I think they're really good up front. I think they're better than the Niners up front right now. They're just really good there. And Carson Wentz back with Frank Reich, Pittman coming into his second year. The defense has a lot of talent. So I think the Colts could surprise the Niners there, but it could go either way, really. I had the Niners beating the Bears. Could be Trey Lance, Justin Fields, could not be. Both quarterbacks could be sitting. Who knows? But I had the Niners there. I think their pass rush can get home on that offensive line, and the Bears' defense is declining. So I think the Niners could take advantage of that. But second time around, Niners Cardinals again. Um, are the Niners going to get back at the Cardinals again? Is their pass rush going to cause problems there? Um, I'm not really sure. I mean, Murray can get after that, but it's like, is Murray gonna stay healthy? Like, that's the thing. If Murray's healthy, he's able to run around and get the Cardinals' offense going. The Cardinals have a ton of weapons, and the defense with the pass rush up front with great linebackers. Corners, outside corner, Malcolm Butler and Byron Murphy are good. It's just second corner is kind of iffy, but they have good safeties. The Cardinals' defense is just a deciding factor to me, along with Murray's health, and they're just firepower with the receivers, just all the things they can do. The Cardinals are a really talented team that have very little flaws, like tight end and outside corner, and those are really their only flaws. They have two good running backs with Connor and Edmonds, so I think the Cardinals can sweep the Niners this year. No bias in there, but this division is just rough. It's going to be really rough. Here, I think the Rams and the Niners are going to split. I think the Niners are going to get the first one. I mean, the Niners always have the Rams number. It doesn't matter what year it is. Sean McVay always loses to Kyle Shanahan. It doesn't matter if the 49ers have their JV squad, which might have. I'm going to leave this till the end. I'm not really sure who I'm going to pick here, but I'm going to pick the Niners for this first one. I think Trey Lance could very well be starting at week 10. Maybe Jimmy G is just, it's kind of a rocky, it's a rocky like 6-4 record, and they're like, maybe we could be better than this. So I think maybe Trey Lance could step in here, and Shanahan just outdoes McVay. It always happens. The 49ers just own the Rams. So it's at home in San Fran. So I think they're going to win there. And then I think the 49ers are going to beat the Jaguars here. Um, Trevor Lawrence improved Jaguars team, but I don't think they're just good enough to get this win, because I think the Niners are just too good up front, and just a better coaching staff, more experience, more chemistry with the Niners. So I think they're going to beat the Jags. And then I had the 49ers beating the Vikings last predictions, because I thought the Niners would be good up front to stop what the Vikings like to do, to run the ball, establish the run, which I think though they're going to struggle with, to set up that play action. And I think the Niners are going to be able to find ways to score on offense. And then I had them splitting with Seattle. It all comes down to, can Russell Wilson buy enough time to make plays? Are the Seahawks going to run the ball? And are the 49ers going to stop it? And also, like, how is Seattle's defense going to fare? But I'm going to have them splitting. Both road teams each time win, because that's that's what can happen. So Bengals at the Niners. I'm going to have to take the Niners. I think this is a mismatch for the Bengals, because the Bengals aren't really that strong up front, and I think they're going to get just out bullied up front by the 49ers, both the pass rush and in the run game, which is going to set up the Niners for success. Trey Lance is probably going to be the starter late in the season here, which is going to give their offense more versatility, what Trey Lance can do with his legs and with his arm, with Shanahan's system and learning. He's learning the system by now. So I think the Bengals, although they have firepower with Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, and all those guys, I just don't really believe too much in their offensive line or their front seven. So that's why I'm taking the Niners here. So the Falcons versus the Niners. This one's tough. The Falcons have the high-powered offense with who they might trade Julio. They really might trade Julio Jones after June 1st to fix their cap situation, but still Calvin Ridley and Kyle Pitts sharing the same field. It's pretty good, but I think the Niners are just more the complete team, and they have less holes, and they have a better coaching staff. And I think they're going to be able to take advantage of that Atlanta offensive line, even though they kind of addressed it in the draft. But I think the Niners are going to win there. Then they're kind of on a roll here. I got them on a big win streak. They're playing the Titans here. The Tennessee Titans, with Derrick Henry, kind of need to get that run game going to set up that play action down the field. And I don't really know if that's going to really bode well for them. And they're kind of weak in the secondary. They got better up front, I guess, with Bud Dupree and Danico Autry, and then they can let Harold Landry rush the passer and have Jeffrey Simmons also up front. And then A.J. Brown, they lost talent on offense. Ooh, this one's back and forth. I just think if the 49ers can slow Derrick Henry, not necessarily stop him, but slow him and move the ball on offense, kind of get that passing game going. And I think Trey Lance is the deciding factor here, and I'm going to take the Niners to get another victory. So they're on a roll here. They're just beating teams left and right after this kind of tough stretch. And I think they're going to beat the Texans, no question, to get to 12-4, because the Texans are so flawed. They're not even going to have Deshaun Watson. The Texans, I'm I'm gonna struggle finding the Texans a game to win. I don't know what game the Texans are gonna win. Really, it's just that bad. And then 18 Rams Niners. I'm gonna take the Rams here. I think they split with Jared or Matthew Stafford. Maybe he's the deciding factor in the Rams owning the Niners. Maybe he's the one that just puts their offense over the top. So this is a 12-5 season for the 49ers. Is it going to be enough to win them the NFC West, though? You'll have to keep watching to find out. But I think the Niners, they still have the dominant front seven with Bosa and Warner and all the Eric Armstead, and then they have that offensive line with Trent Williams. They draft Aaron Banks. They get better in the interior. They still have McGlinchey. They have Kittle, who's really a monster. Mostert, Sermon. They have Trey Lance. If Ayuk and Debo can develop and stay healthy, with Jason Verrett staying healthy, it's just health is their biggest question. But they have a lot of talent. 12-5, I think, is a realistic record for a healthy Niners team. So enough to be NFC West champs. Let's find out. But we're gonna go to the Cardinals thing next. And week 1, they're up against the Titans, and I think the Cardinals can win this game. The Cardinals are kind of weak up front with the defensive tackles kind of thing, but the linebackers at the second level with Collins and Simmons, and they can bring guys in the box. I think Derrick Henry might shake free, but I think the Cardinals' air raid offense would just be too much of a mismatch for the Titans' secondary, and I think Murray will be able to lead the Cardinals to victory for them. And if the Titans get down early and the Cardinals get up early, which could happen, I think the Cardinals' pass rush could get after the Titans. And then I had the Cardinals beating the Vikings in my earlier NFC North prediction video because I think the Cardinals receivers, again, big mismatch for the Vikings secondary, and Murray can make plays, and that Cardinals defense is going to be pretty good. So I was saying Cardinals there. Cardinals Jaguars. I think the Cardinals pick up this win right here against the Jaguars because Jaguars are a new team. I don't think they have enough defensive talent to slow them down. And the Cardinals, I think their pass rush could get after it, and I think they could slow Trevor Lawrence, still getting in the groove of the NFL. So I like the Cardinals there. I think they take their first loss against the Rams with Aaron Donald. Jalen Ramsey seems to do a really good job on DeAndre Hopkins. And then Darius Williams on the other side. So the Rams got a lot of receivers to play with too. And while the Cardinals do have Malcolm Butler, they're going to have to start a young rookie on the outside, other cornerback spot. They have Murphy in the slot, but it's gonna be interesting to see if this cornerback group could step up a little bit. Mainly the outside number 2. Is Robert Alford going to have to step up in there? But I think the Cardinals will fall to the Rams right here, unfortunately. I think they could split with the Rams, realistically. We'll come back to this game right here. But I had them beating the Niners here. I had him sweeping the Niners both times because Murray's mobility and that defense, I think, could slow down what the Niners like to do. It's a divisional game, but the Cardinals just have a lot of talent. They added a lot of talent this offseason. And then you have the Cardinals versus the Browns. This one's tough. I'm going to give this to the Browns because the Browns, believe it or not, are a Super Bowl team. This team has a stacked roster. You know the offense, Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry. I mean, arguably, when you take OBJ out of the equation for the Browns, they're even better, arguably. But you add OBJ in there, you have a strong run game. That offensive line is going to cause problems for that Cardinals defensive line, even though they have good linebackers up top. But I think the Browns can score points. Kevin Stefanski, I think, outdoes Kingsbury here. And then the Browns defense, Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney, if he could develop opposite Miles. And then they have JOK. His heart condition seems to be cleared. And then they have a way improved secondary with Denzel Ward and Troy Hill and Greg Newsome outside, and then they have Del Pitt returning, and they have John Johnson. So they have the defensive talent and the offensive talent. They just have a complete roster with good coaching. I think the Browns could take that. But the Cardinals do bounce back versus the Houston Texans because the Texans are really flawed. They're going to have trouble stopping the run up front for the Cardinals, and their secondary is depleted. I think the Cardinals could score real easily on them with no Watson, and that offensive line is a mess. I think that Cardinals pass rush could just come in and just wreck the Texans. I think the Texans could very well have the number 1 overall pick next year, but the Cardinals beat the Texans there. And then I had the Packers beating the Cardinals in my NFC North prediction video because, I mean, the Packers struggle with mobile quarterbacks, so that could kind of flip it to the Cardinals' favor. But I'm sticking with my pick, assuming Aaron Rodgers is the starter. I think those receivers could kind of take advantage of that Cardinals secondary, and maybe the interior of the offensive line for the Packers gets well coached and creates space for the run game. And Aaron Rodgers, Matt LaFleur, and that defense, that improved defense, can slow down Kyler just enough. It's a back and forth game in Arizona, but I think the Packers pull that one out. But the Cardinals bounce back against the 49ers. I am sweeping them because the Niners struggle with mobile quarterbacks, and that Cardinals defense, I think that's going to be the difference maker against the Niners. If Trey Lance is starting, he's not going to have that much experience here. So Panthers, Cardinals, I'd take the Cardinals. It's Hassan Reddick's former team, but the Panthers, Sam Darnold, they have an explosive offense, so they could put up a lot of points against the Cardinals secondary, because corner is kind of a iffy position just a little bit right now for the Cardinals, but I think the Cardinals could score on them. This could be the shootout, but in a shootout, I look at which defense I think can make the next play and which quarterback I trust more. And I just trust Kyler Murray and the Cardinals defense more than I trust Sam Darnold and the Panthers defense. So that's what it's coming down to here. So that's why I have the Cardinals winning that. But the Panthers could come out there with the W. Seahawks, Cardinals. Cardinals always win in Seattle. Seahawks win in AZ. That's just how it works. I think these two are going to split because Kyler Murray, D-Hop, I think they're going to be able to score against the Seahawks and do their thing. And I think that pass rush is going to get after Russell Wilson. But that wide receiver core and that defense could come back. Maybe Murray gets hurt down later in the stretch, but I think the Cardinals are a well-matched team to beat Seattle here in Week 11. I'm actually going to wait to predict this video or this matchup down here. Bears-Cardinals. I'm taking the Cardinals here. That pass rush, I already predicted this in this vid over here, the NFC North vid. But I think that pass rush can take over versus the Bears offensive line for sure. And then the Bears secondary is depleted, and those Cardinals receivers I think are going to be getting open like crazy. Um, and I just don't think the Bears could be starting Fields, but I think the Cardinals just have a lot more talent than the Bears, and that's going to win them that. So week 14, they're getting to the Rams, and the Rams could sweep them. Uh, Jared Goff, or not Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford in that pass game is going to be troublesome, but I think that Cardinals pass rush could get home versus the Rams. So that could be an interesting matchup. The Rams, I'm saying they lost defensive talent with John Johnson, Troy Hill, Brockers, but they still have Leonard Floyd, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, Darius Williams. So that's why I'm going to say the Rams sweep the Cardinals here. I just think it's a bad matchup. Like Sean McVay, I like more than Cliff Kingsbury. And I think that Rams passing attack is just going to be too good for the Cardinals here. But they do bounce back versus the Lions because the Lions are really outmatched here. The Cardinals are just going to score way too many points, and their defense is capable of letting the Cardinals offense do their thing. So that's going to be a win for the Lions. The Lions are struggling this year. It's a rebuild year. They're always rebuilding, but they're going to rebuild again because the Lions are the Lions, all right? So you have the Colts versus the Cardinals. This one's interesting. Very interesting because the Colts are good up front, and they got their edge rushers in the draft, and they got Eric Fisher outside. So I think that could create problems for the Cardinals. The Colts are a solid, smart, fundamental team. Carson Wentz back with his defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator. So that this one bodes a tough matchup for the Cardinals. Murray's going to have to run around. I think the Colts could find ways to score and get enough stops defensively to win this game. It just comes down to me, just the difference up front. I think the Colts are going to win this game up front, but the Cardinals are going to come right back and beat the Cowboys. It's going to be a shootout, but again, the Cowboys' defense is very bad, and the Cardinals' defense easily is better because the Cardinals' defense is good. Chandler Jones, J.J. Watt, Marcus Golden, inside Jordan Phillips is pretty good too. Then you have Collins and Simmons and Malcolm Butler and Byron Murphy and Buda Baker, who's an elite safety. Jalen Thompson's solid. So the Cardinals, I think, are going to score a lot of points on the Cowboys, and the Cardinals' defense is going to get enough stops on Dallas. I think that's just a bad matchup for them. So the Cardinals win. And then week 18 versus Seattle, it's all on the line. It's in Arizona. Russell Wilson and the Seahawks, I don't think that's just a good matchup, though. It's just the X factor is the Seahawks defense because on offense, they're going to try to run the ball on the Cardinals to set up their pass game. The Seattle mentality is back to run first in defense. But the key here is the Seahawks losing corners like Shaquille Griffin in the offseason. They have Jamal Adams. They can get Carlos Dunlap in the pass rush game. But if Murray's healthy down the stretch here, which I'm assuming he's going to be, I think this is just a bad matchup. I think the Cardinals are better up front at this stage. So I'm going to have to take the Cardinals. So they get the same record as the 49ers, 12-5, but they out-edge the Niners because they sweep them. So 12-5 for the Cardinals. But is that still enough to win the division? How are these going to look like? Keep watching, man. We got the Rams next, dude. Boy, oh boy, man, this division is something different. The Rams open up with the Bears. I'm saying the Rams. That pass rush is going to get after it. If it's not Justin Fields starting, which is a possibility, it's going to be Andy Dalton instead. He was told he was a starter, and they said that was a possibility. I think the Rams come out the gate and get this win. And Jared Goff, or no, not Jared Goff. Why do I keep saying that? I have to remember it's Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford is going to score a lot of points on this Bears defense that lost Kyle Fuller and stuff. That pass rush could get home with Khalil Mack, but I'm just going to say the Rams have the better coaching staff. They have what's it? They have Sean McVay, who's better than Nagy all day. Um, then the Indianapolis Colts, who are great up front. I don't know if that secondary can hold up versus that Rams receiving corps and Matthew Stafford, but it's Matthew Stafford versus Carson Wentz. I don't like that matchup with the Colts wide receivers against the Rams secondary. So I'm gonna have to take the Rams here on the road versus the Colts. I'm gonna take them. I'm gonna take them. I think it's a bad matchup. The Colts could win up the upfront battle, but I just think the Rams are better equipped in the secondary and with their weaponry to beat the Colts. Now here's a game. Here's a game. Matthew Stafford, Tom Brady, in SoFi Stadium. Rams, Buccaneers. Oh man, I don't. I don't think the Buccaneers are going to lose one single game. Let's break this down though. The mismatch here could be the Rams wide receiver. The Rams beat the Buccaneers last season. To keep that in mind, the Rams have a lot of really good receivers with Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods. They get Deshaun Jackson and Atwell, so they do also have speed. They also have Van Jefferson. They have Higbee, so that's a lot of weaponry. But that Buccaneers pass rush could be a problem. But McVay, again, schemes things open, and I think he's going to scheme things for uh, Matthew Stafford. But again, when that regular season game happened last year, the Buccaneers were still figuring themselves out. And then Tom Brady on the offensive side, the Rams are going to have to generate some kind of pass rush, and they're losing talent on defense with Aaron Donald and company. Jalen Ramsey, Darius Williams can still hold their own outside, but the Buccaneers' offensive line is elite. They have elite playmakers on the outside. This is going to be tough. But something tells me Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay with those weapons are going to figure something out to score a lot of points on the Buccaneers and Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey. Something tells me, even though they lost defensive talent, something tells me they're still going to be a good team. Um, Man, oh man, do I really have this happening right now? Mm, ooh. Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford, Bruce, who's it gonna be, man? I think the Rams could slow down that Buccaneers run game. I think the Rams can score. But it's Tom Brady, that offensive line, who's gonna win up front. The Buccaneers can win up front. But again, it's the scheme. But Todd Bowles did shut down Andy Reid. Uh, I'm going to take the Rams. I'm going with the upset. I'm going to take the Rams. I think the Rams are going to be able to score on that Buccaneers secondary, and I think that defense can just do just enough. I just think Sean McVay can out-scheme Todd Bowles. That was a really tough decision. I can't believe I just made that decision, but I just made that decision. And then I had the Rams beating the Cardinals. I just think that's a tough matchup. I'm because of Ramsey on D Hop and Aaron Donald and Matthew Stafford and coaching staff of the Rams. But Rams Seahawks, man, I think the Rams are just gonna be one heck of a team, dude. Just one heck of a team. Um, the Rams Seahawks. I think they're gonna split. I think the Seahawks are gonna nab one here, but I think the Rams are gonna get another one there. I think Seattle's gonna win this first one. Russell Wilson, uh, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. I mean, Jalen Ramsey does play a great job, but that Matthew Stafford might kind of be getting back in that equation a little bit. I think one of these upsets, you might think I'm stupid, but one of these upsets is going to have to happen. And I think the Seahawks can do that. I think they can generate pressure, scheme things up a little bit, switch it around, kind of take advantage of some of the um, losses the Rams had, Russell Wilson using his legs. But I think later down the stretch, the Rams can. I think they're going to split with Seattle. They split with them last season, but the Rams are going to get right back at it and beat the Giants because the Giants' offensive line stands zero chance, and I don't think the Giants are going to be able to run. I think the secondary can hold up versus the Giants. And I think the Rams offense can find ways to score. I don't think that's a good matchup. Then the Rams versus the Lions. That's going to be a game to watch if you could see it um, because of the trade and everything. But Rams easily much better roster than Lions. Better quarterback, better coaching staff. I think that's a no-brainer. And another one that's a no-brainer is the Rams-Texans. I think the Rams are going to win that easily. Texans have a dumpster fire of an organization. They're most likely not going to have Deshaun Watson uh, for multiple reasons. But Titans-Rams, this one could go either way. Rams linebacking core is weak and could get exposed. But I think that they would be able to concentrate on Derrick Henry and have a good game plan. I think the Rams would be able to score on that defense. So I'm going to take the Rams. I had the Niners winning this one versus the Rams because I think they're going to split. The Niners always have their number, but Matthew Stafford is going to come in clutch in this Week 18 game. I had the Packers beating the Rams last video because I think the Packers, assuming they have Aaron Rodgers, we saw him last year. They absolutely dominated up front. It's virtually the same offensive line, just some new rookies coming in and Lindsley leaving. But I think the Packers just have the defense, the speed, and the corners to match up with this Rams receiving core. I think they have the upfront presence and they have the offense to do it. And I think LaFleur can just barely escape this one. It's going to be a tough matchup, though. It really could go either way, but I think the Packers nab this one. At home at Lambeau Field is the deciding factor. If it was in LA, I might pick the Rams, but I'm going to pick the Rams versus the Jaguars. Because Jaguars are a new team and facing these elite NFC contenders, I don't think that's going to bode well for them. Matthew Stafford, I think, could win in a shootout versus Trevor. I think that's going to not go well for the Jags. I had the Rams beating the Cardinals, sweeping them, because it's just Ramsey locks up D-Hop, and then the front seven can get pressure with Aaron Donald and Leonard Floyd, and then those receivers can get open versus those corners. So I think it's a bad matchup. And I think the Rams do get their revenge versus Seattle here. I just have a feeling they're going to split on the season. This one, things don't go so hot for Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, and the Rams figure out how to score on that Seahawks defense with those cornerback questions. But versus the Vikings, I think they pick up another win. I think they can slow down Dalvin Cook. Um, and they have the corners to match up with Jefferson and Adam Thielen. And then I think they're going to be able to take advantage of that Vikings secondary. So I think that's a win for the Rams. Rams Ravens is going to be really interesting. Um, Last time they played, the Rams absolutely just lost really bad to the Ravens. Lamar Jackson, mobile quarterback. They're gonna have to run the ball quite a bit. They have Rashad Bateman and Sammy Watkins now added, but I just don't know if that's going to be enough. But the Ravens do have a good secondary, but I just don't think they have enough pass rush. So that's what's going to lead me to take the Rams and get a 14-3 record. So they have a top seed. And is that enough for the number one seed in the NFC to beat out the Buccaneers potentially? Who knows? But they have a better record by one game than the Packers, even though the Packers beat them. So that's where I stand on the Rams. I had them winning Week 18 against the Niners. I think they're going to split with the Seahawks and the Niners, and they're going to sweep the Cardinals. So we're going to see, man. Let's move on finally to the Seattle Seahawks. They're just gonna have a tough one. They're playing a first place schedule too. So they're playing the Indianapolis Colts here to start the season. Carson Wentz and the Colts. I think Russell Wilson's gonna have to run around quite a bit. The Colts are not going to let Seattle run the ball, so they're going to have to get Russell Wilson rolling out and throwing the ball. They're going to kind of have to let Russ cook, and I don't know if the Seattle Seahawks really want to do that at this stage. And I think Carson Wentz could find his role with this offense, with the Seahawks corners being kind of banged up or not banged up, but just like that being a weakness, and I think that offensive line can hold up. So I'm going to take the Colts here. I think it's a bad matchup for the Seahawks. But I do think the Seahawks come back versus the Titans. Because I think Russell Wilson's going to be able to get enough going versus that Titans secondary. I think they can run the ball, and I think that defense is going to do enough to slow them down. Should be a shootout. But I think Russell Wilson can get the job done with those weapons. I had a surprising upset here. In my last video, I picked the Vikings. I think the Vikings can get that run game going, set up that play action versus that Seahawks secondary. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a mismatch. And then I think that pass rush could get just enough to bother Russell Wilson with Danielle Hunter and slow down the run with Michael Pierce and Dalvin Tomlinson at the nose tackles and Eric Kendricks. That secondary is going to be a problem, but the Vikings are at home this time. They're not in Seattle, so if this was in Seattle, I'd pick the Seahawks, but I think the Vikings get their revenge there, but I have the Seahawks beating the Niners and the Rams, surprisingly. I think they split with both of them. I already explained this. I think Russell is going to pull out. I think Russell's going to lead the Seahawks single-handedly to some wins, like against the Niners with the weapons, and against the Rams, I think it's a mix between the two. Kind of two upset wins. But versus the Steelers, this one's going to be an ugly game. The Steelers' defense is going to bring in the heat. This is going to be really ugly. Russell's going to have to run. I don't think the Steelers are going to let Russell throw or run the ball. So it's going to come down to, I think the Seahawks are going to get pressure. Both of these teams are going to get a ton of pressure, just instant pressure. It's just going to come down to the quarterback, and that's why I'm going to take Russell. I'm going to take Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. It's coming down to the quarterback. Uh, the Steelers have good skill positions, but it's just Big Ben's the starter, and I just trust Russell Wilson more than Ben Roethlisberger. So the Saints Seahawks. I think the Seahawks get another W here. Um, the Saints are a really regressed team. With the secondary is kind of slowing down and the receivers are slowing down. The Saints could get pressure, but the quarterback mismatch is pretty big here. Um, and I just see the Seahawks winning this game. Against the Jaguars off the bye, do I pick the Jags for an upset? No, I don't. I picked the Seahawks to upset the Jaguars. Russ is going to outduel. It's Shaquille Griffin facing his former team, but I think Russ is going to outduel Trevor there. But after the bye, the Seahawks are going to suffer a loss to the Packers because Packers are going to get after the quarterback of Seattle. They're going to get after Russell, and Aaron Rodgers is going to torch that defense, assuming Rodgers is the starter. So I have the Packers winning there. And then back-to-back losses. They lose to the Cardinals. Kyler Murray and company, and that defense I think is going to slow down Russell. And then the Seahawks find more trouble against the Washington football team. That defense is just absolutely equipped. It's just a really bad matchup for Seattle because their secondary is going to struggle against those receivers. And I think Fitzpatrick is a capable enough quarterback to win. The Seahawks have an edge with the pass rush on the football team's O-line, but that defense is just going to do a ton just to slow down the Seahawks. So the 49ers come right back. They split the season series and beat the Seahawks. So the Seahawks are getting this rough stretch. The Niners are going to get after Wilson. It's not going to be pretty, and that secondary of the Seahawks is going to give up some points. But I think the Seahawks are going to beat the Texans. The Texans secondary is going to get torched. The Seahawks are going to be able to run the ball. I think that's how it's going to be able to be. But they're going to go right back to losing to the Rams, as we already explained. They're going to split. The Rams are a pretty bad matchup with their pass rush against the Seahawks offensive line, and Jalen Ramsey in that secondary, and then Matthew Stafford able to score. So they could very well go 8-9 here if they get swept by the Rams, but I have them splitting. I think they beat the Bears and Lions back-to-back weeks because the Seahawks, I feel like, could get pressure against the Bears, and Wilson could cook up that defense. And then the Lions just are completely outmatched by Seattle. And I think Russell would just cook them alive, and that defense would do just enough. But the Cardinals, I think that they could split with the Cardinals, but I just don't see it because of the Cardinals' pass rush and Kyler Murray in that offense. That passing game, I think is going to be too much. So the Seahawks I have them at 9-8. So I have the Rams 14-3 winning the division. Cardinals are going to be second at 12-5. The Niners are going to be 12-5, and the Seahawks are going to be 9-8. So is that going to be enough to get that 7th seed? You're going to have to stick around for the prediction videos as we're going to be rolling in new divisions. But yeah, let me know if you guys want me to keep making these prediction videos division by division. But here they are. It's going to be a crazy division. I don't have one team losing with a losing record here. So I think these are pretty accurate records. So Rams, Cardinals, 49ers, Seahawks. That's my standings. But let me know if you guys enjoyed. Like and subscribe. Yeah, Rams 14-3, Cardinals 12-5, Niners 12-5, Seahawks 9-8. That's where I got them. Just show you here 12-5. Here it's 12-5, and here it's 14-3. And then once again, Seahawks 9-8. So a lot of these games could go either way. This could very well happen like that, but um, you know, just let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Like and subscribe. Join the Discord. It's really epic there. Be involved a lot more in my channel. But that's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one. Peace out. Watch off as much of my videos as you can. I'm trying to get monetized. Get to 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time to get monetized. But I've quite a bit to go, but thank you all so much for everything. See you in the next one. Peace.